NCAA tournament rolling on, and a man who's got so many jobs, it makes me jealous, to be honest. Kenny the Jet Smith doing great work, of course, around March Madness, and of course on TNT with the NBA. Kenny the Jet Smith working with Enterprise Rent-A-Car is with us here on Fansided. All right, Kenny, let's start with the NCAA tournament. If Kentucky does run the table and finishes up 40-0, wins the NCAA championship, beating the teams that they're playing in this year's college basketball, watered down, whatever you want to call it, where does that rank all time for you?
Well, it ranks about as where it would have been if Wichita State had done it the year before. A lot of people honestly forget Wichita State was so close to doing it as well. And, they were a veteran team. You wouldn't say, Clay Anthony Early is the next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at UCLA. So you can't I don't think you put them in the same category. It would be a great accomplishment, a great feat. Even to this point, they've done some things that's phenomenal. But, in the modern era, we've had a couple teams, flirt with this now.
If they put you on the rules committee and Kenny the Jet Smith could make any changes to college hoop, what would you do?
I wouldn't make it mandatory for you to have to be in college for a year. I would think that you should be able to have a free choice to do what you want. But in terms of the game and the quality of the game, I think things are pretty well. I'm not really a proponent of a shorter shot clock. I think that they're not as skilled players, so they need longer time to figure out and execute defenses. So I'm not opposed to that at all. But I don't think you should go to college and have to go to college for a year.
Why do you think that rule's in place? Is that all for the NBA, just trying to create their own little minor league system without creating it?
Well, I think that the college athlete. I don't think it's just the NBA. I think the NCAA gets a chance to have great college players, for that year. But it's really just a rule for like 0.5% of the world.
Right.
You're making a rule for 0.5% of the world, which to me makes no sense. I think the other 99.9.5%, the rules should be made for them. There should be more rules that govern them and make their experience as a college athlete better.
So just on a minor level, you wouldn't move the three-point line back, and you wouldn't maybe have less timeouts? I mean, people complain that the end of a game in college basketball takes twice as long as even an NBA game.
Well, it's a 40-minute game, so you're still getting out. You still get home for the babysitter inside. But I think, I think that the players aren't as good as NBA players and as pros. So to play under the same restrictions or guidelines in any capacity at times, I just don't think it makes sense. That's why you play 48 minutes in the NBA. You play 40 in college. Everything is different, and because of the skill level more than anything. The lane is not the same at times. It used to be. And, all of those things to me are different. I just feel that college basketball players are not professionals. They have class the next day, so there are going to be some rules to help govern them play better.
Kenny the Jet Smith doing great work with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. You can go to Enterprise's Facebook page, find some outstanding videos, including one with your former coach, Dean Smith, who, of course, has passed away. Do you got a Dean story you could share with us, Kenny?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because like you said, if you go to Facebook.com/Enterprise Rent-A-Car, you'll see great coaches' stories of how they picked up their community or picked up their team, picked up their student athlete. And, for me, Coach Smith was the ultimate person in terms of pickup. If you close your eyes, right, and you watched our practice, you couldn't tell who was the best player by what he said. He treated every single player the exact same. My mom and dad, she has kids, and we have our brothers and sisters. They don't treat all of us the same. I mean, it's impossible. I mean, that was the most unique quality, to be able to treat every player the exact same.
You like Carolina's chances against Wisconsin?
Good chance, man. I mean, Wisconsin is, to me, those were the two teams I was like, I always picked North Carolina to be in the Final Four and to win it all. But my other team was Wisconsin. I think that they have, a great deal of versatility. Carolina has a lot of things that they have, but they're just not as experienced. With Marcus Page might be the only one who might have a clear advantage at his position. But everyone else is going to have to play a phenomenal game and really be laser focused in.
I was talking to David Robinson the other day, and I asked him if he was the general manager, and he could have Charles Barkley or Karl Malone, who would he take? And he said Malone. What would you say?
Well, I'll take Charles Barkley. I think because, one, not only is he going to get the same amount of wins, you're going to get a different fan support. You're going to get a different engagement. Charles has become an icon far beyond outside of basketball. So if I would know that now, I would take Charles Barkley because of the skill level and the wins are probably going to come at the same premium.
Do you think because he's so entertaining and maybe people focus on that his play on the court has perhaps gone underrated? I know he's a Hall of Famer and people realize that he was great, but I think some people forget how good Charles really was.
Well, there's only about 4 or 5 people in the history of the game that rules are changed because of their style of play. I can remember, Kareem and no dunking rule in college. Michael Jordan in the NBA, there was no isolation rule. And Charles Barkley was, a 5 seconds on offense because they didn't want him to have the ball in the post longer than 5 seconds because of his ability to score. Like, that's an incredible accomplishment, man, to have rules changes because you're so good. Like, I don't remember, anyone else at his position rules being changed for.
Kenny Smith working with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Have him for a couple more moments here on Fansided. Akeem or Shaq, Kenny? Who you taking?
Well, I'm always biased. I'm going to go with Akeem Olajuwon because I played with him. But Shaq is moving up because now I'm working with him.
You can't always be a politician.
He's moving up the list, but he's still behind. But, my affinity is with Akeem without even thinking about it. My affinity is with Akeem. The reason why I'm probably still at TNT is because of 2 championships. And, Akeem Olajuwon was, if not the sole, but the biggest reason why we have him.
Well, you also do a pretty good job, but I guess Akeem probably, winning a title.
I don't think anyone would have known if I didn't win those championships how good at this I was.
Okay. Fair enough. I appreciate you giving props where it's deserved. What's you guys really love Ernie, right? That's like legit.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've been together, Ernie and I, for 16, 17 years. We have an affinity not just on the set but off the set. Families intertwined. My kids know Ernie like no other, vice versa. Just a great relationship that's built and a chemistry that's probably unparalleled in modern day sports entertainment. I'm not sure about the Cosell days with Don Griffin and all those guys, but in the modern era, there's nothing parallel to him, Charles, and myself.
This is how I envision it. Ernie gets there at about noon. You show up around 4. Charles comes in at 6:57, and Shaq's probably there at 6:56. Am I about right?
No, you're off. Ernie gets there about noon. You were right. Charles gets there about 7. About 6, rather. Shaq gets about 6:15, and I get there about 6:30. I'm the last to show up all the time.
Because you got that talent. You don't need to be, messing around with any.
I think the one thing that is, all of us, especially, your homework is done before you get there.
Right.
If you're waiting to come up with this great analysis or this great insight by being there and understanding right there, then you're in the wrong field. That homework is done well before we get there. Kenny
the Jet Smith doing great work with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Kenny, last one for you. Who do you like? NBA Finals. Who's taking it this year?
Well, in the Western Conference, it's going to all depend on matchups. You could say Golden State is going to win it, San Antonio, but who do they match up with, and what bracket are they in? We're talking NCAA, but you're going to have to figure out what bracket they're in and who's going to win it. Eastern Conference, Chicago is back in the mix. They're starting to get healthy. All of these guys, Butler coming back, all of the different things. It's going to be very interesting who you match up with to win an NBA championship. No one's a clear-cut favorite anymore.
What do you think the nightmare matchup is for Golden State then?
I would say if Kevin Durant comes back and Oklahoma City.
Fair enough.
I think that would be a nightmare matchup because of their style of play. Kevin Durant and Westbrook, that's how they excel.
Do you give the Rockets a shot without Dwight?
No, not without Dwight. They don't get it. They don't have any shot of winning without Dwight. I think that his defensive presence in the half court, which happens in NBA basketball, is probably bigger than any.
And am I wrong if I take my less than considerable fortune and if I had to put it on one team, I'm putting it on the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do you like that play?
I would say that you're still a risky bettor.
Really?
It's still risky.
Where should I?
Because like I said, I still like those Chicago Bulls as they get healthy.
Wow. Okay. Kenny, great stuff and great work with Enterprise, and we'll check out the Facebook page and see your work with Dean Smith and some of the other coaches as well. Thanks for taking the time.
Okay, thank you.